This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto, and it already feels like crunch time for the Oilers and Maple Leafs, and their upcoming stretch might be their best chance to get back on track. Both teams are sitting 6th in their division, which is far worse than expected at this point in the season. And while neither are too far out of a playoff spot, they both have much higher aspirations than a wildcard team. But for both Edmonton and Toronto, this is a huge opportunity to turn things around. The Oilers have 4 straight games against non-playoff teams. Plus, with all 4 being at home, this is as good of a chance they're going to have to string some wins together. And while the Leafs are facing some tough opponents over their next 4, 2 of those games are at home against their Atlantic Division rivals, who are ahead of them in the standings, which again is a huge opportunity to make up some ground. Now, it's not going to be easy for either one of these teams, especially with how they've started. But a few wins this week could catapult them up the standings and can very quickly have them back in contention for the division. So for 2 teams that have struggled so far, their upcoming schedule might just be the break they've been looking for. And if you're in the Leafs region and want to see if they can start this stretch off right, you know exactly where to tune in, as TSN has you covered for all the action with Leafs Hurricanes. Coverage begins at 6:30 Eastern. I'm concerned this team is starting to make me believe once again. Okay, we're just a day away from the World Cup draw. Canada sitting pretty in pot 1 as co-hosts. But what is the best case scenario for who might end up in their group? Let's break it down in TD advice for victory. Pot 2 is chock full of very tough sides, but Australia is clearly the most favorable opponent for Canada. At 26, the Socceroos are the lowest ranked team in the pot, and Canada dominated stretches of their friendly in October. In a pot full of tough opponents, familiarity could be a game changer. Now, it's important to remember that each group must have one European nation, so that's why the Canadians are likely eyeing Scotland in pot 3. There are lower ranked teams in the pot, but getting Scotland here might help you avoid a dangerous European team lingering in pot 4. And even former Scottish national Stephen Caldwell says Canada's athleticism could give Scotland fits. Pot 4 is a wild card because it's giving spots to teams that won't actually qualify until March. But what we do know is that New Zealand is ranked lowest in that pot at 86th in the world, and might give Canada the easiest road out of the group. So that leaves us with Canada's ideal draw: Australia, Scotland, and New Zealand. We'll see how the draw plays out tomorrow. It all goes down at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on TSN. And don't forget, you can dual screen it with us. Me and the Bar Down Boys will be hanging out, watching the stream with you on TSN's YouTube. You can hang out with us live. Be in the comments. Over to the NFL, and Week 14 kicks off tonight with one of the best matchups we've seen on a Thursday night so far this season. So let's get you set up for Cowboys and Lions with another edition of FanDuel Fast Facts. You know the deal. 40 seconds on the board. I gotta see how many of these fast facts I can get through, but it's just to help you and your bets. So we're winning. I'll be losing, but you'll be winning. The Lions are coming off a Thanksgiving loss to the Packers. They won 14 straight games after a loss. They're 3-point favorites tonight and paying -164 on the money line. With a win, they would tie the NFL record for most consecutive wins following a loss. The Cowboys and Lions rank 2nd and 3rd respectively in the NFL in scoring, both averaging over 29 points per game. The total for tonight's game is set at 54.5 on FanDuel. The over pays almost even money at -105. Jared Goff and Dak Prescott are 2 of just 3 quarterbacks in the NFL with 3,000 passing yards and 25 passing touchdowns. Wow, in 2025, both QBs are favored to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns on FanDuel. Goff pays -215 and Prescott pays -182. Okay, I basically got through that one. If I didn't say Prescott, which you can find at your local grocery store. Oh my gosh, I only got through 3? Oh my god, that's my worst one ever. The final race of the F1 season goes down Sunday, with 3 drivers in contention for the Drivers' Championship. To get us fired up for this race, we're joined by Tim Haraini from Abu Dhabi. Timothy, thanks for joining us.
Hey Marissa, how's it going? I'm down here in the Yas Marina. Like, I am right in the middle of the racetrack. So the racetrack goes all the way behind me here, it comes all the way back around, so right in the heart of the action here.
Okay, Tim, earlier this season, it looked like a McLaren driver was a lock to win this Drivers' Championship. But now Max Verstappen is on the verge of one of the greatest comebacks in F1 history. Has Verstappen raced himself into this position, or has McLaren crumbled down the stretch?
I think it's a bit of both, Marissa. I mean, when Red Bull Racing brought this big upgrade to their car in Monza, it did help them turn this car around, turn it in the right direction. I think Laurent Mekies has been a big part of that as well, new team principal at Red Bull Racing. And then also on top of all that, obviously Max has just been driving out of his mind. He's been incredible this season. And I think that has really helped, those things that I mentioned, but also at the same time, I mean, McLaren really dropping the ball in Las Vegas, running their cars way too low to the ground, getting disqualified. That allowed Max to get really into this thing. And then in Qatar, not pitting either of their drivers on lap 7 to take that free pit stop, and Max rockets off for the race victory. That also helping Max as well. So I think it is a bit of both. If the car's not great for Max, and if he's not winning races, then he is definitely not in this championship conversation. However, with those things he is, and also with a little bit of help from McLaren at the same time, we are in for an incredible finish to this season right here this weekend.
A lot has been made of McLaren's papaya rules, which promotes equity and fairness among teammates. But are they to blame for the position that McLaren finds himself in now?
I think papaya rules really affected them when it came to the race in Qatar. That's really allowed Max to get to where he is, and that also dropped Oscar from P2 in this championship down into P3 because of all of that. Now, if we look at this in a different light, because team orders, could they play a factor this weekend? Could there be a number 1 driver and a number 2 driver, which means papaya rules go right out the window for McLaren? And here's a scenario that was put to Oscar Piastri in a sense. So let's say Max Verstappen's winning. And let's say Oscar Piastri, who's 3rd in the driver's standings, he is in 3rd place. And let's say Lando Norris, who is the championship leader, by the way, let's say he is 4th. Max Verstappen would go on to become champion. If Oscar were to be told to move aside and let Lando come through for 3rd place, Lando Norris would then go on to clinch his first ever driver's title. Oscar did say that those types of conversations haven't happened just yet. I'll be fascinated, though, if something like that does play out. What does Oscar Piastri do in that scenario? So again, Marissa, this weekend, really exciting, a lot of different storylines, how this thing is going to play out. It's going to be a wild finish.
Timothy Harani, thanks for joining us as always.
All right, thanks so much for having me, Marissa. Really appreciate it.
You can watch the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix Sunday on TSN, bright and early. Coverage begins at 6:30 a.m. Eastern, 3:30 a.m. Pacific. Well, I guess Pacific it won't be bright. It'll be dark. George Springer just happens to be back in town with Make-A-Wish, making dreams come true for a young girl named Delphina. Take a look.
I don't think I can pull that card off.
Just got out of here. What are you doing back?
For moments like this, you know, obviously as a father myself, anything with kids is extremely heartwarming to me.
When you heard it was George Springer, how excited were you?
When I first heard it, my mind just just flew, and then tears just came rushing, and I honestly did not believe it was real.
Well, she's unbelievable. She's very composed for 11. You know, just to get a chance to talk to her, you know, she has some unbelievable answers back there. So, you know, she's been great.
At 9 months old, I had a liver transplant.
And your mom was actually a donor, right?
Yeah, my mom was my donor. She actually had cancerous nodules on her liver. So when they checked if it was okay, to use, they found them. So we like to say I saved her life and she saved mine.
When you look back at this magical run that you guys had, do you have a special moment in your mind that you think about?
I just think just kind of as a whole, you know, I think we went from where we obviously went from to the end of the year. It's not easy to do, and I think everybody was, you know, pulling for each other. The name on the front, not the name on the back, and that's just a very special thing to be for.
Obviously, next season you got some exciting mustaches in the clubhouse. Okay, you got a few now. What's going to take for you to join them?
I don't have that in me. I don't think I can pull that card off. I know Shane's got a good one. Obviously, Schneids has a good one. Cease has a good one. So you know, maybe we go to, you know, a mustache month. I don't know, but I don't know if I can quite pull that off.
I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Thanks,
100%.
George.
Oh yeah.
Of course, today was all about Delphina, but you know I had to get a mustache question in there. It's important. That's it for today with Sarah Bick and Mouth Racer. No Pacific. Have a good one.